Welcome back to Down the Lineup. Today I'm with my co-host Sunny, and today we're going to be previewing opening day, talking about the Seoul Series, and going through what we expect in this upcoming season. But first, let's go around the league. So, the biggest news of the week: Shohei Ohtani, translator Ippei, was involved in some scandal involving betting. Not all the details have been released yet, but there's a lot to go through as of right now.
Yeah. So as far as we know, Ippei claimed at first that Shohei lended him the money to pay off a gambling debt, and the transfer was made directly from Otani's bank account to the bookkeeper, which is illegal, which is what popped up on federal radars first. And then Otani's lawyers recently flipped the script, saying that he's a victim of a massive theft. And a lot of things have been coming up lately, trying to drag Ippei's image, saying things like he didn't go to whatever school he did. And I mean, if he did it, obviously it's really concerning that he lied about it. But a part of it also seems like they're just trying to drag him down more to make it believable.
Yeah, and I mean, some people like, especially throughout like media, have been wondering whether or not Ippei is kind of like the fall guy for this, just because Shohei's such a big name, such a prominent figure in baseball, and to have him involved in like gambling and sports betting, just kind of ruins his image, ruins like his image globally. He's this Soul Series, like we're gonna talk about later. He was kind of the face of it, and just having Otani be protected by Ippei, it's a possibility. Obviously, like we know somewhere money was transferred, whether Otani knew it or not, there was a transfer of money. And Ippei claiming that he went to UC Riverside and he worked for the Red Sox, both been refuted by the university and by the Red Sox. And it just makes me wonder, like, why Ippei would lie? Because we know he's good friends with Otani. He's the translator. And whether he has the previous experience or not, I don't think it makes a difference. Because if Otani wants a guy, he'll get his guy. And it's just really odd that this stuff is coming out now. And yeah, Otani, he's under investigation by the MLB, so we'll see what comes of that.
Yeah,
But
I find it a little odd just how fast everything happened. I heard Otani's supposed to speak up regarding about it today.
yeah,
So obviously it's being recorded before that
right.
time. But
We'll
yeah,
see about that. Just really odd. It just seems so like out of the blue,
yeah, it
Sometimes
really does seem out of the blue.
you get some stuff coming out like, oh, something's rumbling in Otani's camp or something. This one just kind of out of the blue just happened to pop up in the headlines. So we gotta like let the headlines kind of catch up to what the reality is in the investigation. So we can move on a bit. Signing over the weekend, JD Martinez to the Mets, 1 year, 12 million. He's going to be the DH for them. Just another bat in their lineup as they kind of bounce back from a disappointing season in their standards last year. What do you make of the move?
I think I mean, considering what the Mets have been trying to do all offseason, it's a little disappointing for them. I feel like
Yeah.
JD's a solid pickup. He did great last year for the Dodgers. He was an all-star too.
Mhm.
Thought it was really a really solid year. None of us were expecting him to have the year he had with the Dodgers yesterday. So if he
Yeah.
can play like he did with the Dodgers for the Mets, I don't see why it's a bad move for them at all. I don't think it fixes the problem for the Mets necessarily, but it's obviously a step in the right direction.
Yeah, that's basically. I don't think it solves any long-term
Mhm.
problems, but I
Mhm.
think in terms of this year, Alonso's gonna be a free agent next year, so we don't know if he's staying. And just like a 1 year little compete this year, try to convince Alonso to come back. I think does the job. I don't think
Yes.
this is a franchise-altering move, but
Mhm.
I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, and I know Alonso is really adamant about staying on the Mets, so
Mhm.
we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. We also got some news about some minor leaguers who made the MLB roster, some minor leaguers who did not. So we can go through some MLB or minors. The first one is Jackson Holiday, the MLB number one prospect. So we found out he would not be starting on the major league team to begin the season. He's 20 years old, and I think this is just a service manipulation type of thing where you want him for as many years as you can under your control, especially with the Orioles' young core.
Yeah, absolutely, I agree. I was expecting him to make the roster anyways to start. He's only 20. I mean, I know that there's another 20-year-old on the Padres, Jackson Merrill,
Yeah.
but I feel like the situation's a little different depending on the teams they play for too. I mean, the Padres
Mhm.
kind of needed him. The Orioles don't. I'm just gonna put it that like that.
Yeah.
They don't need him right now.
Yeah, I think, and just being able to like wait off, have him for another year, and like if he
Yeah,
comes in later in the year, I wouldn't be surprised if he does come in later in the
yeah,
year.
absolutely.
I just think, yeah, right now you want him to kind of develop as being a 20-year-old, and they have a super young core, so you're
Yeah.
not really in like a rush to get your guys
Hmm.
up.
Yeah.
Brewers outfielder Jackson Churriel, number two prospect for MLB. It was announced he's going to make the MLB roster. He's also 20 years old, and he's going to be the Brewers' fourth outfielder behind Yelich, Sal Frelick, and Gavin Mitchell. But I think Churriel's going to work his way up to be an everyday outfielder. This was a move I thought was interesting. The Brewers are kind of in between right now. They traded their ace, Corbin Burns, and this is kind of the start of the youth movement. So I am a little bit surprised they didn't option to pull what the Orioles did and let him get one more year of service
Hmm.
time. But at the same time, we've seen success with guys who just come in straight from spring training. We saw it with Julio, we saw it with Gunnar, some guys who just kind of ease the transition without going to the minors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing more to add on that. Kind
Yeah.
of hit all the spots there.
Paul Skeens, Pirates pitcher, he is going to the minor leagues to start the year. He's 21, and I have a quote from the general manager, Ben Cherington. He told Sportsnet Pittsburgh that he wants to see Skeens check a few more boxes in pro ball before going to the major leagues. I thought it was interesting. We saw him have a little shaky spring training. He was hitting 100 on the radar gun, but at the same time, he also wasn't particularly sharp. And I think, Skeens might be another guy we see later in the year, just not at the beginning of the year.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Skeens needs a little more time to develop too, anyways, get
Mhm.
used and more acclimated to the pro ball style rather than like his LSU's days. But I mean, I hope the Pirates keep his innings down in the minors. I hope that's what kind of their plan is,
Mhm.
trying not to overrun him at this such young of an age. Let him
Yeah.
develop a little more, understand how to take care of his arm better at a professional level. I think it'll be good for him.
Yeah, and then moving on, Junior Caminero, Rays outfielder. So he's 20 years old, and he's a guy where, the Rays might be trading Randy soon. They
Mhm.
might be moving in a rebuilding direction.
Mhm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see him later in the year.
Absolutely.
But he's also a guy I would not be surprised if we don't see for another year or two because he's so young, and the rebuild of the Rays is about to start, maybe not starting, depending, on the how the team plays early in the year. I think it really depends on what the Rays do at the deadline, what they do coming out the gates. A guy who made the MLB roster, Wyatt Langford, outfielder for the Rangers. So he's a little older. He's 22. He's going to be the fourth outfielder behind Adolis Garcia, Leody Tavares, and Evan Carter. But I think it's an outfield mix where you can kind of, move it around, shuffle it, and just have like a rotation. Him and Evan Carter both, super young, both rookies this year. I think just immediate impact and interesting to see how the defending champs utilize him.
Yeah. When with not a lot of roster moves, I guess this is probably the most exciting thing to happen for the Rangers all
Yeah,
offseason. So a lot of high hopes for the kid there.
yeah. Moving on, we have a pair of Nationals outfielders. So the Nationals made a couple moves, getting some veteran outfielders from Jesse Winker, Eddie Rosario. So Dylan Cruz and James Wood both are going to start the year in the minors. Dylan Cruz is 22 years old. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him called up too, especially if Winker or Rosario does not, pan out. And then James Wood, he's 21. I think if both of them don't pan out, I won't be surprised if both Cruz and Wood come out, but I think Wood might be in for another year of waiting.
Yeah. And Wood, in my opinion, is a special prospect to watch. That's
Hmm.
one of my prospects I've been watching out for. So I'm really excited for him.
Yeah. But speaking of Jesse Winker, I saw this on Twitter from Brooksgate. So in the last 3 years, Byron Buxton has had a higher batting average than Jesse Winker. In 2021, Buxton batted 306, Winker batted 305. 2022, Buxton batted 224, Winker batted 219. And then in 2023, Buxton batted 207, Winker batted 199. But if you were to get the batting average of the 3 year span, Buxton bats 240 while Winker bats 251. So that's like it's crazy how Byron Buxton, is how he's been such a good player, just doesn't have like the playing time. And like that 306 season, he just didn't play. But yeah, I just found that crazy little stat
Yeah.
on Twitter. Yeah. And then the last guy we're gonna get into is Colton Cowser. So there's rumors that he's gonna start in the MLB. He's 24, so he's one of the older prospects. And he's gonna be a fourth or fifth outfielder. I think he's gonna be a fourth outfielder in the Orioles. He's, still young, but he was called a goofball per Brandon Hyde. So, he's still got that young heart. Yeah, Cedric Mullins, Anthony Santander, and Austin Hayes are still going to be outfielders, I think. But having Colton Cowser kind of work his way up, I think, is just another young piece in the Orioles organization.
Yeah, the first round pick, I believe, right? He's a first round pick.
I think so,
Um,
late first round pick.
yeah, I believe he had a rough 2023 season with the amount of at bats he got. Guess he just
hmm
wasn't acclimated to that, pro style. And 304 during spring training, obviously something's clicked for him. He's obviously more comfortable in that environment now. Um, and with that little bit of more experience, I think he'll be a huge addition to the Orioles playoff run.
Yeah, I think the Orioles looking scary, especially with Jackson and Colton.
Absolutely.
We also got some injury news, a couple of pitchers that are going to begin the season on IL. So Sonny Gray is going to begin the season on IL with a hamstring strain. So he's going to miss the Dodger series at least, and possibly their next series. Um, my thoughts on that are just it's big that the Cardinals aren't going to have Sonny Gray, their big signing for the Dodger series, especially with the Dodgers coming back, having played already regular season games. They're kind of more in rhythm, I'd say. And I just think, having the Cardinals start off the season not having the big pitcher is gonna hurt.
Yeah. I mean, I personally don't think the Cardinals are going to get too far anyways, but this can only hurt them.
Yeah.
So,
And then the reigning NL champs, the Diamondbacks, are gonna be without Eduardo Rodriguez for the start of the season. He has a lat strain. He's gonna start the season on IL. I'm not as worried about the Diamondbacks. They still have Zach Gallen, so they're still gonna have an ace level pitcher. I just think, this is more precautionary, I think, just to let him rest a little bit, let him get healthy just for the later run, especially because I think, if you're a Diamondback, you're expecting to make a late postseason run again, and having Eduardo Rodriguez is huge. So we can wrap up the Soul series. So
actually, sorry,
Dodgers,
before we move on, I do also want to say Lars Nootbaar is out for the Cardinals as
yeah,
well with
okay.
a rib injury.
hmm
And so that's just going to suck for the Cardinals.
Yeah, the
Sorry.
Cardinals are gonna be missing a couple guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Soul series. So game one of the season, Dodgers beat the Padres 5-2. And then the next day from the second day of the Soul series, a high offensive 15-11. So we
Yeah.
can start diving in real quick. Every week we're gonna do a player of the week. So I think it was a pretty obvious player of the week. Mine was Mookie Betts.
So was mine. I mean,
Yeah.
combined, I believe he had 6 hits. He was 6 for 9, I'm pretty sure,
hmm
throughout the Soul series. He had 7 RBIs. So just what a hot start for him.
hmm
And that's what we've been wanting to see. So
Yeah.
super happy.
One or two guys to hit a homer in the Soul
Yeah,
series.
absolutely.
Yeah, I just think, Mookie's starting off hot. He's an MVP favorite, and it's a great start. Not much to say. Mookie's Mookie. He's amazing. Just
He
a
is Mookie.
great guy at the top of the lineup.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of wanted to dive into Yamamoto. So, having all this hype about around him didn't start the season the
Mhm.
way many expected him to. I was listening to Todd Frazier's podcast, and he said a lot of Japanese pitchers, when they come over, their fastball isn't as developed as their off speed.
Mhm.
And I kind of dove into it looking at some baseball savants. And, in that first inning, Yamamoto didn't really get many swing and misses off that fastball. With it being high velocity, you really want like swing and miss and weak contact. And I
Mhm.
think just like the Padres were able to kind of sit on that. Yeah, what are your thoughts on Yamamoto and like how do you make it this tough start to begin?
Yeah, I mean, with Mark Pryor, I believe I have no worry, to be honest, because he will continue to develop Yamamoto into more of a major league level player. Mark Pryor has seen the best of the best pitch, and so he will understand how to help Yamamoto.
Mhm.
I don't think the defense helped Yamamoto at all, obviously. Muncy at third right now is kind of iffy. I was watching the games. I can't put the blame on him though.
Hmm.
Yamamoto wasn't giving up weak contact either. It's just solid
Hmm.
contact all the way. I'm not too worried though. I'm more worried about Max at third, honestly. After his injuries and everything, it's just his fielding hasn't been the same. I don't know if it's like a
Hmm.
confidence thing, or if it's just like if there's something else going on. But his defense isn't looking as sharp as I know he'd want it to be. And I heard he's been working on his defense all off season too. I hope it really
Hmm.
starts to translate later in the year.
Yeah, I wonder if Gavin Lux might move over to third. Just because, I mean, he was a shortstop. He was going to be the
Mhm.
shortstop last year before he got hurt. And being a shortstop, you think he'd have a good arm, enough arm. And we've seen Muncy kind of be a second baseman early in his career. I think, you know, Muncy moving over to second, I think will give him less worry on his fielding and being
Mhm.
more of a bat. And I think as a guy in the middle of that lineup, you want him to be, as focused on being a bat as you can. It's just interesting. I mean, there's a lot of ways you can like move around. Mookie can play a bunch of positions.
Mhm.
Lux is a shortstop by trade, so he probably has the arm for it. He's a younger guy, might have more reaction, more anticipation,
Mhm.
but I don't really know if Muncy at third is going to be changed, but the Dodgers have options. We'll say that.
Yeah, I mean, he also did go 3 for 9 during the
Hmm.
series. So I would say that's pretty productive with 2 walks as well.
Hmm.
As long as he can keep his strikeout numbers down. And yeah, I honestly think that Lux to third and Muncy to second wouldn't be a bad idea to explore. I know Lux got moved out of shortstop because of his throws. Or I mean, I saw a clip of that. That was pretty rough.
Yeah.
I just know that Lux's injury is still bothering him. There's just not 100% confidence within his body to make these plays. But it looks like Lux during the Seoul Series, though, was a lot more confident in his fielding.
Hmm.
Just watching clips of him during practice compared to like spring training, it was just a lot more fluid. So as Lux gets healthier, I would hope that the Dodgers explore something like that.
Yeah, I know for football, it's always the 1 year after 1 year
Hmm.
of ACL. So like after the first year, after you get an ACL, the year you come
Hmm.
back, it's kind of a feeling out process, getting comfortable with your body, knowing you can
Yeah.
trust your knee again. And I think Lux is kind of going through that.
Hmm.
And then we can talk about the Padres a little bit. I think if you're the Padres, you're kind of sitting there like we could have been 2-0. You're glad to split the series, but it's a little bit of disappointment just based off results. I think if you go into this, if you like said beforehand, they split the series against the Dodgers. I think the Padres would be pretty happy. But, having the lead up until the late innings in the first game, I think you kind of disappointed in how that one ended up, especially with like such a fluky play with the glove going through the glove.
Yeah. Jay Cronenworth's glove is the MVP for the
Yeah,
Dodgers.
yeah. And that's
Just
why,
to add on, oh, sorry.
oh, go ahead, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, just to add on to it, I think it's also disappointing if you look at it from the Dodgers perspective as well. I feel like it was just a disappointing series for both teams, in my opinion.
Hmm.
As a Dodgers fan or player, you are obviously thinking, wow, in that first game, it took us forever, with this offense to get, to score as many runs as we did.
Hmm.
And then the second game, you're like, wow, like put up a lot of runs. Our just pitching was, sublime at best. It's got to be really disappointing for both sides, because like you said, the Padres expected to win too. The
Hmm.
Dodgers also expected to win too. So,
Yeah. So we're also gonna go do a team of the week. And I
mhm.
mean, we only have two teams to choose from. I personally picked the Dodgers just because I think being able to come back from the first game and then being able to kind of fight in that second game, they're both teams were 1-1. I just think from a Padres standpoint, it's it's a lot more you're a lot more worried and you're less happy with the result. If you're the Dodgers, going to that first game, being able to come back, I think shows the fight that Dodgers have. And then in the second game, they were fighting to the end before Machado's like kind of sealing homer. The Dodgers are coming back. Watching that game, it was like, are the Dodgers going to pull this one off again? Are they
Mhm.
going to
Yeah.
come back? And it just didn't
Mhm.
happen. But just to see the fight in the Dodgers,
Yeah.
especially for like a guy who picked them to win the World Series, I think it really kind of builds confidence in me that like, hey, even though they're down, they're still gonna fight. They don't give up, and their lineup is good enough to put up runs. If their pitching can kind of catch up, and which they're gonna get better pitching later on, they're gonna get healthier. They're gonna get guys back. I just think the Dodgers had like coming out of that one. I think the Dodgers have more confidence in themselves than the Padres do.
Yeah. And to add on to that, I mean, like you said, it's Dodgers are kind of one of those teams where if they're losing by a huge deficit, you can't count them out just
Hmm.
because of the amount of star power in that lineup. And it was really nice to see that actually come into play in the second game with
Hmm.
their offense bouncing back. Like you said, it was just unfortunate Machado had to hit that 3 run home run or whatever it
3 run bomb,
was.
yeah.
Yeah, just sucks. But I mean, if the pitching can clean it up, the offense can keep meshing together like this, they're gonna be super dangerous.
So then we move on to the regular season. So opening day is around the corner. It's on Thursday. Every team's gonna play their opening day. So let's go through some of the weekly superlatives. So we can start off with the series of the week. What did you pick for the best series of the week on opening day?
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, I'll dive into mine first, I guess.
Yeah,
I
you can go with
picked
your
the
first.
Braves Phillies.
Braves
Um,
Phillies.
yeah, it's just I think they're two powerhouse teams that are they're gonna be playoff teams. I think, you know, to start the season off against each other, it's great for MLB. It's kind of a marketable matchup.
Mhm,
You put that around noon, just to start off the season. Wheeler Strider to start it off.
mhm.
You know, I think it's gonna be a series to watch. I don't expect either team to sweep. I think it's gonna be a great series, and you just get great baseball from teams who both want to start the season strong and building towards the postseason push.
Yeah, I technically had the Braves and the Phillies, but to change it up on you, I'll go with the Yankees and Astros.
Okay.
Yeah, just because of the powerhouse of those lineups.
Hmm.
And then with the Yankees having such high expectations this year, it would be nice to see how they compete against, American League Championship teams
Hmm.
like the Astros. This will be their first real test.
Yeah. Upset series of the week. So this is a series you think will be won by the lesser
Hmm.
team. It's kind of opinionated. What did you think?
Me personally, I feel like, um, man, I feel like Boston will beat the Mariners.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it just seems so inevitable.
It seems so inevitable as a Mariners fan to like lose the opening week series or the
Hmm.
opening day series. I mean, but that's
Yeah.
just me being biased because I live in Seattle. But I mean, the Mariners have, I don't remember the last time the Mariners started off hot, except for that one year where they were like 13-2 and then didn't make
Yeah.
the playoffs.
Other than that, I mean, every year it feels like the Mariners story is you start slow and then you hit like a little July or August
Yeah.
run where you're just blazing hot and you
And it's
like,
just not enough to like propel it.
yeah, I mean, the amount of times you've missed as a Mariners fan, we've missed the
Yeah.
playoffs by, less than 5 games.
Yeah.
And you always wonder like if we started the season stronger. One of them I picked is the Cubs over the Rangers. I think, the Cubs aren't really a big underdog and they do have expectations going into the year, but as a
Mhm.
defending champs, I think you're expected to you're the top of the power rankings from every major site. I think the Rangers team, their pitching isn't as strong as it was last year, and I think their pitching gets stronger over the course of the season. Getting DeGrom back, they lost Montgomery. I just think, I wouldn't be surprised if the Cubs take a series versus the Texas.
Yeah.
And then the lock of the week, what team do you think is a lock to win their opening series?
Well, me personally, I have the Orioles over the Angels because it's the Orioles and it's the Angels. I mean, I don't know how much more I have to comment on that. That's a lock for the Orioles. And if they don't win that series at least win it, if not sweep it, be very shocked.
Yeah, that's the same one I picked. And I mean, the reasoning is just so self-explanatory. The Orioles
Yeah.
got better,
And
they're
the Angels got
older.
worse.
And I mean, if you're the Angels, you kind of lost your team. You lost
Yeah,
one half of your team, but like the half that you
pretty much.
kept, always is injury concern. I don't say
Yeah.
always, but like he's been an injury concern over the last
Mhm.
the last few years.
Yeah.
And the Orioles just got so much better. They got Corbin Burns, which, pitching was their issue last year. And then their
Yeah.
hitters just got a year older. And they're a pretty young team.
Yeah,
I
and
just
that's what
think,
that's what the biggest problem with the Orioles is. It's not their players, it's the experience. And
mhm,
so as the years go on, you could just keep saying the Orioles get stronger, even though they don't make any moves,
yeah.
because their players are getting older and they're just getting better. The big blow to that is Felix Bautista is gone this year
Hmm.
with Tommy John surgery. So it'll be up to Cano to
Yeah.
really step it up this year for the bullpen.
I
But
think bringing Kimbrel helps that too.
yeah,
Kimbrel's not a lockdown guy anymore, but he's still he's
mhm.
still serviceable. I think
Yeah, I would
Cano,
say Kimbrough would be a good eighth inning option for them.
right.
Yeah.
Kimbrel Cano, I think is just it's a back end of the bullpen you trust, you
Yeah.
have confidence in if you have the lead.
Yeah. And Kimbrel has a
Yeah.
lot of experience. He brings a veteran presence to the clubhouse, which is
Hmm.
something the Orioles so desperately need, I feel like. So
Yeah.
just the
Uh,
older guy, the more old guys they add, the better.
yeah. And then before we get out of here, we can kind of run through all the opening day series, just some quick thoughts.
Yeah.
Brewers Mets.
Uh, it'll be interesting. I
Yeah,
don't
I
have too much
mean,
hopes for that though.
I'd say yeah. I mean, Brewers got worse, Mets slightly better.
I
But
think
both,
it'll be a good series though. They're pretty equal teams in my opinion.
yeah, I just
With the
think
add of JD Martinez as well.
neither team really had the offseason they like hope for. So I guess
Yeah.
this is what they're kind of looking forward to. But if one of the teams can get like off to a hot start, kind of brings hope. Like, hey, the offseason wasn't the best, but we still got a fighting chance.
Yeah.
We talked about the Angels, Orioles, Braves, Phillies, Nationals, Reds. Not the most high-powered matchup.
I think the Reds
Um,
take that.
I think so too. Nationals are still like rebuilding. I
Yeah.
think at the beginning of the season, they're not going to be a team that you got to really look out
Yeah.
for. They got older guys who, may make some noise, but I don't think they're like the older guys you really
Mhm.
expect to carry teams.
Yeah.
Padres, Giants.
I believe Blake Snell's not pitching, right? Opening week.
Okay.
I believe they have him on a throwing pro. Let me actually confirm that because I don't want to.
Yeah.
I did see that somewhere.
I think this is kind of a matchup to like it's a fight for third. I just think the Dodgers and Diamondbacks are the teams to beat in the NL West.
Uh-huh.
And I just think, this matchup is pretty even. Both teams, or I guess the Giants got some guys in the offseason. The
Uh-huh.
Padres, they lost Juan Soto and Blake Snell actually to the Giants.
Mhm.
So, I don't
Well,
know. This,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry. Keep going.
yeah, I don't know. This one, I think is more of a do the Giants leapfrog the
Hmm.
Padres? Do the Padres, come out stronger?
Yeah, just to reiterate back on Blake, he did pitch a simulated game.
Hmm.
I think it was yesterday. He will not be ready for opening day.
Okay.
Yeah, and so me personally, I just have the Padres taking this based off
Yeah.
that sole factor.
I don't think anyone expected him to be ready, especially as a pitcher. You kind of want a bigger buildup. You don't want to like dive right into it. It's not like a hitter. Hitter can kind of like training, you can kind of like simulate at bats.
Yeah.
I just think, as a pitcher, you really want to like build up. You don't want to like rush your arm and then have problems later in the season.
Yeah, and I feel like that's what's great about baseball compared to like other sports. There's just so many games, so you just have so much time to plan, and it's really anyone's game because it's just such a long season.
Yeah. Dodgers, Cardinals.
I got the Dodgers.
Yeah, I just think the Cardinals are too banged up right now.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be
to even
surprised if
have
they
a
take
chance.
Yeah, I won't be surprised if they take a game, but
Yeah,
I think Dodgers after coming off Seoul Series, they're a little bit like they're in the flow of it.
yeah.
They know like the daily routines that they gotta have, what went
Uh,
wrong, what didn't go wrong.
uh,
Yeah, I just see the Dodgers.
yeah.
Blue Jays Rays.
Oh, I believe it's a good series as well. Two teams
Hmm.
that kind of have really missed their expectations over the last few years. I don't think this is going to be a matchup that like necessarily has anything to do with playoffs, obviously,
Hmm.
but I think it's just good to see who's at a better state right now. I feel like,
Yeah, I won't be surprised if one of these teams make the playoffs. I just think
yeah,
this is kind of like I think it's a good matchup. It's not the Braves Phillies type of matchup, but these games have always been competitive. The
yeah,
AL East is still pretty strong, especially the top four.
yeah,
And the Rays are coming off a 99 win season. So they're still like makings of a good team, right? Obviously, both of us don't expect it to be 99 wins again, but
yeah.
the guys are still there. They still have a lot of the core there,
Hmm?
but I think they're missing a lot of pitching. I think McClanahan's still recovering from, I think it was elbow or shoulder surgery. Jeffrey Springs, there might be one more guy, but yeah, the Rays. That's all I gotta say about the Rays. They're a little bit banged up pitching wise, but they're still a good team from last year.
Yeah. And I mean, to go from Glasnow to Zach Eflin as your opening day starter is a little interesting drop
Yeah.
off. So
Next series, Twins Royals.
Twins, Royals. I would say I wouldn't be surprised or shocked if the Royals steal this one as well.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be a good series. This will be an early view into the AL Central and what it's
Yeah.
going to play like this year. Will it remain at that same, no offense, mediocrity that it
Hmm.
is, or will they kind of, are things looking up for them?
Yeah, I think, like you said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Royals take it. Twins are
Yeah,
still, I think, the team to beat in that division.
yeah,
Yeah, we can fly through these next two. Tigers, White Sox.
I
I
got the
don't.
Tigers.
Yeah, I
The
mean,
White Sox regressed hard, so
yeah, there's not much to say.
yeah,
Neither team. I
yeah,
say Tigers just try to build off last year, but not
yeah.
really expecting anything out of them. Yeah, and you said White Sox regress hard. Pirates, Marlins.
I feel like the Pirates neither regressed nor progressed, and the Marlins also neither regressed or progressed.
Yeah,
So if I mean, based off watching them last year, I think it'll be a good series. I feel like they're like the most equal teams.
yeah, I think they're equal teams. I just don't think this is like equal teams. Like it's not equal teams that you expect. High
Yeah, I
powered
mean,
matchup. It's more
yeah,
like I'll be surprised all these games, all four of these games are not competitive. But I think at the end if they have a split, I wouldn't be surprised either. We talked about the Cubs, Rangers, Guardians, A's.
Guardians, A's. I mean, I mean, I got
Yeah,
the Guardians.
yeah. I'm just looking right now. Alex Wood is opening day starter for the A's.
So I did hear that. I haven't heard his name since he was playing for the
I
Dodgers.
haven't heard his name in a while. Shane Bieber, I think he's regressed since his Cy Young season, but he's still looking to. I think he's still got the juice, looking to start off strong.
Yeah,
And then Rockies D-backs.
for all I got. I mean, the D-backs didn't really make any moves besides adding like Eugenio and some prospects, right?
Oh, they got
Uh,
Jock as well. I don't know if
oh
that's a
yeah,
big move.
Chuck.
Yeah, and then
Yeah, I
Erod,
guess
obviously.
it's just so much
Erod.
strikeouts for the team. I feel like it's not what they needed.
Yeah, I mean Erod's not
But
going to be there for the start, but I don't think the Rockies are a team you really expect Erod to make a big difference against. I think you can kind of survive, at least expectations wise, you can kind of survive not having Erod.
I mean, it's still Gallen's team, so
Yeah.
yeah,
So that was all of the open day series. We'll be back next week to wrap up opening day weekend and kind of preview the season. It's gonna be a great season.
yeah. We're gonna be at opening day too for the
Yep.
Mariners. So I
Mhm.
mean, we're excited. It'll be
Yeah.
fun. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys for listening, and we'll catch you next week.